Hi, this is Tule from Simplify, and I have a questions about pop-up cities and network states. So the way that I see it, pop-up cities are organizations that aspire to become at some point network states. So my question is like, what are the tools that these organizations need in order to maximize the probability of going from pop-up city organizers to network states? Because currently they seem to be overly dependent on funding by either donors or institutions, and they're not like sustainable.
Yeah, okay, so I think one of the natural next steps for a lot of these is permanent locations. And I think permanent locations have a couple of important benefits, right? So one is that like a lot of people care about this goal of like having positive some relationships with locals and like actually like engaging with the existing communities in different parts of the world. And I think that's just not realistically possible to do if you're just coming in for 42 days and then coming out, right? I think for that to happen at all, like you just need to have longer term engagement. Another reason is that like temporary accommodation is just fundamentally more expensive. And it's also like a big headache on organizing staff. And it's especially a big headache if you have like custom needs, right? Like if you care about having exercise space, then like you have to go and figure that out yourself. You have to have a team that does it. And like there's both people cost and there's just like raw like rental cost. And so permanent locations I think will will allow more engagement with local communities and will also decrease the cost by quite a bit. And I already know of like at least 3 or 4 different places that are moving to trying to do permanent locations. So I think that will start to continue to increase over time. Then I think from going forward from there, another thing is that pop-ups are like, okay, so when I was presenting about network states in Singapore, I had this diagram where I showed the San Francisco subway, right? Like in the San Francisco subway, you have 4 different lines, and while you're inside of like downtown SF, the lines are all parallel to each other. They're like the same line, right? But then as soon as you cross over into the East Bay, the lines like completely diverge. They become like 180-degree opposite directions from each other, right? And the analogy I used is that the beginning stages of basically you start with making a community, then you make a pop-up city. Like these are all the same for every possible end goal, but the end goals are different, right? So some people want to create a new jurisdiction. Some people want to help create a node that can lift up an existing jurisdiction. Some people want a monastery. Some people want a university, right? Like these are all valid goals. But once you get past the pop-up level, then like you actually have to choose, right? And like the choosing step is hard because a lot of the time you don't realize that you have people in your community with different goals because up until that point it looked like everyone's goals were aligned. Everyone is happy with being a community, everyone's happy with being a pop-up city, right? But then you actually have to make that choice. And from that point forward, like the playbook actually does become different, right? And like I think that's fine, and that's like a healthy part of the growth of any community. But that's like the other big thing that I think communities need to like figure out and really start building around.